about a potential and very serious threat to Jabot.
I've stolen Haynes' AI program. I want to make a deal with you. Are you interested?
In the ever-turbulent world of Genoa City, where family trees are less like stately oaks and more like tangled, thorny vines, a revelation is brewing that could redefine one of the show's core dynasties. The return of Claire Grace, the daughter of Cole Howard and Victoria Newman, was a seismic event that promised a new era for the Newman clan. But what if the foundation of that reunion is built on a lie? What if the paternity of Claire Grace is not the open-and-shut case we've been led to believe? Spoilers and a deep dive into the show's rich, often forgotten history are pointing toward a shocking possibility that Cole Howard may not be Claire's biological father after all. The real father could be a ghost from the past, a man whose legacy is one of obsession, manipulation, and pure evil, the late, great Mitch Bacall. This isn't just wild speculation. It's a theory rooted in character history, narrative logic, and the very DNA of what makes The Young and the Restless so compelling. Let's unravel the threads of this potential bombshell. Part 1. Revisiting the Eve Howard era, a tale of two mentors. To understand the potential for this twist, we must first travel back to the early 2000s, a period dominated by the complex and tragic figure of Eve Howard, Cole's sister. The rise of Mitch Bacall. Mitch Bacall arrived in Genoa City as a brilliant, albeit unorthodox, psychologist. He quickly became entangled with the powerful Chancellor family, treating and eventually marrying the vulnerable Esther's daughter, Eve Howard. On the surface, he was a savior. Beneath it, he was a master manipulator. His methods were controversial, his hold over his patients, and his wife, was absolute. He was a man who believed he could reshape minds to his will, and for a time, he succeeded spectacularly. Cole Howard's descent. During this same period, Cole Howard was in a deeply vulnerable state. His relationship with Victoria Newman was fraught with the usual Newman-level drama, but he was also grappling with immense personal guilt and trauma, much of it tied to his sister Eve's tumultuous life. He was a man searching for an anchor, for someone to make sense of the chaos in his mind. It was Eve who steered Cole toward her husband, Dr. Bacall. Mitch became Cole's therapist, his confidant, his guide. In the way of all great soap opera villains, Mitch didn't just offer therapy. He began to subtly reprogram Cole, inserting himself into the very fabric of Cole's psyche. This established a powerful, non-familial bond between them, a bond that could be the key to the entire paternity mystery. Part 2. The mechanics of the deception. How could it have happened? The immediate retort to this theory is, how? Cole and Victoria were together. They had a child. The timeline seems clear. But in Soapland, timelines are as flexible as a contortionist, and paternity is never certain until at least 3 DNA tests and a dramatic courtroom reveal prove otherwise. Scenario 1. The fertility fraud. This is the most plausible and deliciously sinister possibility. What if, during his therapy sessions, Mitch discerned Cole's deep-seated insecurities, perhaps about his masculinity or his ability to carry on his family line? As a master manipulator, he could have proposed a solution. He might have convinced Cole to provide a sperm sample under the guise of fertility testing or future-proofing his legacy, a practice that, while unethical, was not unheard of in the era of emerging reproductive technology. Mitch, with his God complex, would have seen this as the ultimate act of creation and control. He wouldn't just be shaping Cole's mind, he would be shaping his literal offspring. He could have then harvested Victoria's eggs or artificially inseminated her during a vulnerable moment, all without either party's knowledge. This would make Claire a twisted science experiment, the ultimate legacy of Mitch Bacall, conceived not out of love, but out of one man's monstrous ego. Scenario 2. The switcheroo. A slightly less complex, but equally dramatic scenario involves a simple switch. Suppose Victoria did become pregnant with Cole's child. What if, during an early prenatal visit, Mitch, who had infiltrated nearly every aspect of the Chancellor's and Newman's lives, intervened? He could have swapped Cole's sample with his own at a fertility clinic, ensuring the child was biologically his. This would align with his pattern of inserting himself into families and claiming them as his own, just as he did with the Chancellors. Scenario 3. The direct assault. While darker, we cannot ignore the possibility of a more direct, non-consensual act. Mitch was capable of anything. He could have assaulted a sedated or unconscious Victoria, perhaps during one of his many treatments, making her believe the pregnancy was Cole's. This is a grim path, but Y&R has never shied away from dark storylines when they serve a greater character arc. Part 3. The narrative goldmine. Why this twist makes perfect sense. A twist of this magnitude isn't just for shock value. It must serve the story for years to come. The Claire is Mitch's daughter storyline does exactly that, on multiple levels. 1. It recontextualizes Claire's entire existence. Claire wasn't just raised by villain Aunt Jordan. She was manipulated by a master. But what if the affinity Jordan had for twisting Claire's mind wasn't just a choice, but a reflection of a deeper, inherited nature? The phrase, like father, like daughter, would take on a terrifying new meaning. Claire's past actions, her capacity for deception, and her internal struggle between light and dark could be seen as a battle against her own bloodline. Is she a Newman, destined for power and family? Or is she a Bacall, destined for manipulation and chaos? This internal conflict could fuel her character for a decade. 2. It creates unimaginable drama for Victoria and Cole. Victoria's entire identity is wrapped up in being a Newman matriarch. The thought that her child was not only stolen from her, but is also the biological granddaughter of the man who terrorized her family through his actions with Esther and the Chancellors would be a devastating blow. Her relationship with Claire, so newly forged, would be thrown into a crucible of doubt and horror. Is she loving her daughter, or the ghost of her family's greatest tormentor? For Cole, the betrayal would be even more profound. To learn that the man he trusted with his deepest secrets, his therapist, not only betrayed him but literally stole his paternity, would be a wound that could never heal. It would invalidate his entire sense of self and his connection to the daughter he just found.